G'day folks, Wren here, and it's time for Becca's Bookoplathon. So, if you don't know what Becca's Bookoplathon is, where have you been? It's been all over Booktube for a few years now, but it is hosted by Becca from Becca and the Books, and based on a TBR game she used to do. She doesn't really do it very much anymore, but that was Becca's Spookopoly. And then every year she does a month-long Bookoplathon where, you know, she makes a new board, we go around it and have some fun. She also sometimes does 48-hour Bookoplathons, and they're very, very fun. But this October we have the Spookoplathon. Usually Bookoplathon happens in September, but this time it's happening in October, and it is spooky themed. Hence the kind of spooky theme of the board this year. So this is going to be my Spookoplathon TBR video. I do have a few mandatory reads I need to read this month. I have my book club, which is Queer or Not Book Club, and for that we are reading Small Miracles. If you want to join, link is down below. Then I also have the Smut Salon pick for October, and that is Katie Coulson's Patreon book club, and for that we're reading Subcutanean. So looking forward to that. Then there is also the Psy Changeling read-along happening, hosted by Kirsty from K-Beth Bookish, and that is starting in October. So I also have to read Slave to Sensation, which is the first book in that series. So those are some mandatory reads right off the bat. Let's hope some of them can be put into this TBR. And I decided to do 10 rolls. Don't ask me why, please, I'm not sure. I really like Bookoplathon, it's fun. Anyways, let's get on to the rolls because this is gonna take a while. We have the Bookoplathon board, or should I say the Spookoplathon board. So fun. We have my chance cards and my community shelf cards. So the chance cards are 10 books that I want to read in October and 10 books that I don't want to read in October. I do still want to read those other 10, but they don't fit the vibe of spooky season, you know? And then the community shelf are 20 cards, and these are different prompts. I think I have a few different categories. So I have Screaming in Colour, which is Gabby from Gabby Reads Patreon Readathon happening in October, so I have 4 prompts for that. Then I have Gothtober prompts, so another 4 prompts for that, which is another readathon happening in October. Then I also have Monster Mash prompts, another 4 prompts for that. And then the next 8 prompts were just kind of ones from my reading journal. All of these lists of books that I wanted to get done by the end of the year. So these are just filled with prompts that fit some of those things. So I have 2 dice here, and then for my little counter I have this little guy, which is a little owl. This was given to me by Kirsty from K-Beth Bookish. This was just a random tiny one that came with the big size version, but it's a little owl in resin, and inside is little chunks of amethyst. We'll start on go, and let's roll. Oh, I'm so nervous already. Okay. Ooh, okay, so my first prompt is purple. So the first prompt I landed on was purple, and for that I got to read a book with a mostly purple cover. And for this I have chosen A Man and His Cat, Volume 6 by Umi Sakurai. This is a manga series about this man and his cat. It was very cute. And it's really just about them and their life. It's very slice of life. It's so wholesome because we get to see points of view from the cat as well as from the man, and just the cat is so insecure, but it loves the man so much, and the man loves the cat so much. It's beautiful, and in the past few volumes we've been seeing some more of these characters. Also, I very much headcanon that this character is queer, and he totally has a crush on this guy. It's so cute. It's so cute and wholesome, and it's about cats. Roll number 2. Oh, you can't see this one. It went out of frame, but it was that. Ooh, okay. Are we out of the woods yet? Oh, Okay, so I'm gonna have to look up what that means because I don't remember. So the next prompt that I landed on was "Are we out of the woods yet?" which was a Taylor Swift lyric. So what I had to do for this prompt was to read a book that was set in the woods or the forest or an isolated setting type thing, or have trees on the cover. So I've got like 2 of those. This book has trees on the cover and it's also set in a forest. And that is Wildfire by Rodman Philbrick. This is a middle grade contemporary book that I've wanted to read for a long time because I really enjoy like survivalist type stories. And in this one we have 2 kids who are trapped in a forest fire and they just have to try and get out of it. That's kind of all I know. Alright, roll number 3. Doubles, of course. Right, so landed on candy corn. So, of course, I got a double. Because it's not Bookoplathon if you don't get doubles, you know? So I will be adding another roll to this already long TBR. Anyways, I landed on candy corn, which I have never eaten candy corn, and I also can't because at least the ones that I've seen, do contain gluten and I'm celiac, so can't do that, unfortunately. But the prompt for this was to read something sweet or cozy or low stakes, anything like that. So again, trying to go easy on myself, especially because there was a double. And I'm going to read The Hidden Witch by Molly Knox Ostertag, which is the second in the Witch Boy comic series or graphic novel. It's very cute art style and very kind of like wholesome because this is kind of like a middle grade graphic novel series and it is about witches, and there is this family of witches where the like types of magic you can do are very gendered. So the women do spells where the men shapeshift, and then in the first book, the witch boy, they decided that they don't fit into these gender stereotypes and they do spells as well as transform. Or they were meant to transform but they decided they wanted to do spells. It was something like that. It's been a really long time since I read the first one. I should probably reread it before I read this, but I remember loving the magic system in the first one, and like the shape-shifting thing was awesome. The kind of antagonistic things in this were really interesting and I want to know more about those, and really love the art style, and the family was super cute and like I just wanted to live in their house in the woods. Next roll. So we landed on Hannibal Lecter, my fave. Then the next prompt I landed on was Hannibal Lecter. The prompt for that was to read a book that has some type of like body part thing in the title, but for this I'm going to read Blood Ties by Sunny Whitelaw and Elizabeth Christensen, which is book 8 in the Stargate Atlantis series. Blood, it's a part of your body. It works. This is Stargate Atlantis, my favorite TV show of all time, and these are novelizations of like extra missions, you know. But I really enjoy these books, some more than others because they're all written by different authors. I love this series and I have been meaning to read more in this series all year and I haven't yet, so when you're in the end of the year I need to pick up the pace. So look, this even has Daniel in it as well, who's my fave. What is this one about? Creatures of the Night. When a series of gruesome murders are uncovered around the world, the trail leads back to the SGC and far beyond. Recalled to Stargate Command, Dr. Elizabeth Weir, Colonel John Shepard and Dr. Rodney McKay are shown shocking video footage. A wraith attack taking place on Earth. While McKay, Taylor and Ronan investigate the disturbing possibility that humans may harbour wraith DNA, Colonel Shepard is teamed with SG-1's Dr. Daniel Jackson. Together they follow the murderer's trail from Colorado Springs to the war-torn streets of Iraq, and there uncover a terrifying truth. Interesting. I will say, the episodes of Stargate Atlantis that took place on Earth were some of my least favourite, but this does sound really interesting. And this is not the first time that these books have delved into the realm of messing with wraith DNA, so very intrigued. Okay. Ooh, most recent purchase. So the next prompt that I landed on was most recent purchase. And recently I went to the op shop and I bought a whole bunch of books. I didn't mean to, because I've been doing so well with book buying the past couple months. I feel like ever since I came back from New Zealand, I haven't been buying as many books as I normally would, but I randomly bought a whole bunch of books, a bunch that I'd never heard of, but they had really pretty covers and they sounded interesting enough that I bought them. So there's that. I put all of my books that I buy into a spreadsheet just so I can track how many books I'm buying each year, and even though I bought 8 or 9 books on the same day, I just went with the last one that I had written into that spreadsheet, and that was The Way of the Flesh by Ambrose Parry, which, like, this cover I love. This was a random pick, but I'm gonna read it, which will be the fastest I have ever bought a book and then read it, so like, yay. But the thing that really intrigued me about this is that it's set in Edinburgh. Like, if a book is set in Scotland, I'm gonna read it. I'll at least attempt to read it. So, Edinburgh, 1847. City of medicine, money, and murder. In the city's old town, a number of young women have been found dead. All suffered similarly gruesome ends. Across the city in the new town, medical student Will Raven is about to start his apprenticeship with the brilliant and renowned Dr. Simpson. Simpson's patients reign from the richest to the poorest of this divided city. His house is like no other, full of visiting luminaries and daring experiments in the new medical frontier of anesthesia. It is here that Raven meets housemaid Sarah Fisher. She has all of Raven's intelligence but none of his privilege, in particular his medical education. With each having their own motive to look deeper into the city's spate of suspicious deaths, Raven and Sarah find themselves propelled headlong into a dangerous shadow of Edinburgh's underworld. So it does sound interesting enough. It definitely sounds like there's going to be a romance, because there always is in these types of things, but it sounds interesting enough. It's got murder, it's got medical stuff, it's Scottish. I am looking forward to it, so I hope I like this because I want to keep this book because it's so pretty. Alright, roll number 5. Oh, can't see that, but it was 4. Ooh, got a chance. Now, I have already shuffled these, so whatever's on top should be good. Oh, I'm so nervous. The Flames of Albion. Oh no. I do want to read this, but this was one of the ones I didn't want to read in October. And the next prompt I landed on was a chance. So for my chance cards, there were 10 books I wanted to read in October and 10 books I didn't want to read in October. I do still want to read those other 10 books, but they didn't fit the vibe of October, you know? So of course, that was the one I got. A book that I didn't want to read in October. And that is The Flames of Albion by Jean Z. Menzies. This is I don't know if it's a cozy fantasy, but it's a fantasy. It's sapphic and there are dragons. I did read the first chapter of this last year at some point, and I was intrigued by what was happening. I think the only reason I haven't picked it up is because I have to read it physically, and physical reading and me don't gel. So a century since the monarchy was overthrown, the country of Albion has become a haven for its citizens. The young scholar Daria, raised within the Albion University walls, she has dedicated her life to the pursuit of knowledge, preferring to hole up in the library than seek adventure elsewhere. She has grown accustomed to her comfortable routine, until the day everything changes. When she unwittingly awakens a sleeping dragon's egg, Daria is thrust into unfamiliar territory. Never having dreamed of dragons, she is forced to seek out guidance from the exhilarating Isla, last direct descendant of the royal family and companion to a century-old dragon. That is kind of that first little bit about the dragon egg. That is what I read in the first chapter, and it was very interesting, and I have been really wanting to read this for a long time, so I guess now we're gonna do it, which, like, it's good. Even though I didn't want to read it this month, it's good that I get to read this, you know? Alright, roll number 6. We landed on Stabby. So the next prompt I landed on was Stabby. I immediately kind of knew what I wanted to read for this. All the Lies by S.T. Abbey. I have been having such a good time with this series, and like any excuse to read this series, I'm gonna take it. It's so fun. So this series is about a serial killer woman and her FBI agent boyfriend. And along the way, shenanigans happen. So she is a very competent serial killer, I'll say that. She's planned out everything and it's so fun, and she's just always covered in blood, which is a fun time. And then her boyfriend is actually investigating her murders while also investigating like other murders as well. And it's very, very interesting. The chemistry between these two is amazing. I love it. And I really love our serial killer. She's such a badass, and I know she's a serial killer, but like the people she's murdering, they kind of deserve it. Ooh, black cat. I do love me some cats. So the next prompt I landed on was black cat. And so for this, you just gotta read a book about a cat. So a cat on the cover or about cats, something like that. But for this, I have chosen My Cute Little Kitten, Volume 1 by Milk Morinaga. And this is a sapphic manga, and there's a kitty. So it's kind of about these two roommates entering into a relationship with each other, but it gets a bit strained when one of them brings home a cat, because in their apartment you're not allowed to have a cat. Somehow they figure out what to do there, but I mean, queer manga plus cat, amazing. Like that. Is that not stunning? Look how just soft and sweet that is. Like, there's a kitty. So I'm very much looking forward to this, and like I need to read some of the manga that I own because I'm running out of space. You see that? Oh, whoops. Ooh, a Becca wreck. Interesting. Okay. So the next prompt I landed on was a Becca wreck. I was a little bit hesitant about this because Becca reads a lot more fantasy than I do, and I don't want to read any big fantasies. But luckily, Becca has made a playlist full of her recommendations, so I was able to scroll through a bunch of that and find some that worked for me. I think it was 2017 was perhaps the video that I found. I can't remember, but Becca did a scribed recommendations. In that, she recommended the Southern Reach Trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer. It's a sci-fi series, and because she said the whole trilogy, that means that I can read Acceptance, which is the third and final book in that series. Which was like one of my goals for this year, was to finish that series, and like, I get to. So I'm not going to say what Acceptance is about, but in general terms, the Southern Reach Trilogy is about people trying to figure out what this particular area is and what's happening there, because it's weird and wonderful and kind of filled with spores, which I love spores, so that's fine. In the second book, things have spread a little further and there's a bit more corruption happening, so I don't know what's going to happen in the third book, but we shall see. Alright, second to last. Oh. Or not. Michael Myers. And of course, I got another double, because I wasn't reading enough books this month. The board was like, hey, you want another double? Here's one. But the prompt that I landed on was Michael Myers, and the prompt for that was to read a sequel, which is good, because that's really what I want to do towards the end of the year, is get through some of my series. So for this, I've decided to go with Dark Days, which is the fourth book in the Skullduggery Pleasant series by Derek Landy. This is a fun middle YA series. It kind of starts a little middle grade, but it's YA. We'll just say YA. It's about the first one, this young girl, her uncle dies and leaves her his estate, but she's young, so she can't really do much with it, and at the reading of the will, she meets Skullduggery Pleasant, who was a friend of her uncle, and it turns out that he is a detective within the, like, supernatural magic world, and she's like, hey, I want to be a part of this, and so he brings her along as like a junior detective and his partner. Shenanigans ensue from there. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening, but this series is so fun, and the relationship between Skullduggery and Valkyrie is hilarious. They're so like snarky with each other, but like they are ride or die. I'm very keen to see what happens in this one because the ending of the third one, it left on a cliffhanger. So interested to see what happens here. Alright. Oh, are you serious? Of course. It's a community shelf. So, again, I have shuffled these. Alright. Ooh, a book on script. Okay, cool. That's doable. And then what do you know? I got another double. Of course I did. This is what I get for saying that I'll have 10 throws. So for this one I landed on community shelf, and the prompt that I got with that was scribd. So I was scrolling through my scribd saved list and I was trying to find a book that was on scribd that I didn't own physically, and I found one that will complete a series and that I've been wanting to read for a long time. And that is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This is the sequel, but the prequel? Yeah, so it is the prequel to The Hate U Give. This is set 17 years before The Hate U Give, and it's following Star's father. And I really enjoyed Star's dad in The Hate U Give. I thought he was a very strong character, so really looking forward to reading that, and it will complete the Hate U Give duology, which I'm also really looking forward to. This will be a hard book to read, just like The Hate U Give was a very difficult read, but a really powerful one, so I'm hoping that I'll have the same kind of emotions in Concrete Rose that I had with The Hate U Give. Alright, next. Ooh. Ooh, a feed scroll. Okay. The next one I landed on was a feed scroll. So, I'm gonna screen record. So, I'm on Goodreads. Okay, so Ace, I've already read. QQ Sweeper, I don't know. Doctor Who book, I don't know. Nair Duke Well, don't know. Think I'm in Friend Love with You, don't know. Highland Temptations, don't know. There's a lot of books here that I don't know, and I want to find one that I know that I want to read. I mean, there is a Barbarians Lady, which is an Ice Planet Barbarians book. I'm not up to number 13, but maybe. That's a possibility. I might read one of those. I've already read The Lightning Thief. Don't know. It's a there's a T Kingfisher, Thornhedge, but I don't know that one, so we won't do that. Don't know. Wow, this sucks. If We Were Villains, I've already read. Don't know. Spy Family Volume 2. I have read Volume 2. I don't know why it says want to read. I've read Volume 2. Weird. Don't know. Legends and Lattes I've read. Wow, this is gonna take a really long time. No! No! Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. I don't want to read it. Not right now. What's next? A Princess in Theory was the next one. I mean, one I own, so I should probably read the one I own. I don't want to read it right now. I love the cover, I love the concept, but do you have an audiobook? That's my main concern. No, it's currently unavailable in my country. I mean, I do want to read this, and October is a really good time to read it, but there's no audio. I'm such a baby. Anyways, this is what I'll be reading. I do air quotes because I don't know if I'm going to get to this. But this is Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. This is about someone who buys a ghost online. That's it. And they have a spooky collection, so they're going to add the ghost to that. It sounds fun. That's like, what, the third physical book I have to read this month? That's already more than I usually do. Alright, and what will hopefully be the very, very last spin, last roll, is not. Of course it's not. Stephen King. Next up, I rolled another double. Because of course I did. This was clearly going way too well. And I landed on Stephen King, which is funny considering my last book pick was a Joe Hill book, who is the son of Stephen King. And now I landed on Stephen King. So originally I was just going to read the one Stephen King book that I own, but there wasn't an audiobook, so I decided not to. But the prompt for Stephen King was to read a book with some kind of royalty theme or word in the title type thing. So I decided to maybe stretch it, maybe not, I don't know. But I'm going with Night Volume 1 by Martin Copping, Stephen Cock, Raz Tolman, Wilson Go and Sean Keenan. This is a comic that I backed on Kickstarter and I got it because it's about someone hunting the Mothman. And that's it. Paranormal Hunters, I love, it's very much my thing, so I definitely wanted to read this, but this also has Mothman. Need I say more? No. No, I don't need to. Like, look at him! The Mothman! But love that, so I'm really keen to read this because, like, I backed it. I should probably read it. So looking forward to this. The art style seems cool. And, like, Knight, I feel is royal enough. Because, like, you have to be knighted to be a knight, right? It's good enough, please let me have this. Now what will hopefully be the last roll is thank you. And it's a chance, of course. Alright, what do we got? Well travelled. Again, one I really want to read, but one I did not want to read for this readathon. I wanted spooky books, not contemporary or fantasy. Oh well. And then the very final book for this Spookoplathon, and I landed on chance once again, and again I got a book that I didn't want to read in October. I did want to read this book this year, and I'm very excited to read it, but it doesn't fit the spooky vibe of October. But that is Well Travelled by Jen DeLuca, but this is the fourth book in the Well Met series. I don't know if there's going to be a fifth book. I don't think it's been announced yet, but this is the last one available. And this is a contemporary romance series set in a Renaissance fair, which I never thought I would enjoy, and then I read the first one and became obsessed. It was my favourite book of 2022, so looking forward to reading this one. In this one we have Dex, who is a musician within the Renaissance fair world. He's also like a bit of a playboy. Then we have Lulu, who is the cousin of a character that we've known since book 1. And what I like about this series is that you always get, except for book 2, someone who's been in the Renaissance world for a while with someone who is new to the Renaissance world. So I do love that dynamic. And in this one it seems they have a bit of a like summer romance, and then it's like, well, what happens when he leaves on tour for the next Renaissance fair, and what's going to happen with all of that. But I do really love Jen DeLuca's writing, and these books are just so fun. Alright, here here is the stack of books, not including the fourth in the Mindfuck series and Concrete Rose. All the rest are here, and these are heavy, and that is a lot of physical reading for 1 month. Oh no. I'm gonna struggle. But if you are partaking in Bookoplathon for this month, let me know. How did your rolls go? I got several doubles, which wasn't fun. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.